Hi, everyone. This is Landria.
And it's your girl, Chris.
And today we are going to discuss today's topic for episode 4 is what would you tell your younger self if given the opportunity? What would you tell your younger self, Chris?
That's a good one. That's a deep one. I thought about this one too, and I think my general answer that covers majority of my younger childhood, I guess I would say, would be to stop and think about it. I think a lot of the things I went through, also as an only child and growing up without both parents in the home, I was left to my thoughts a lot. So once I got out the house, I just was like, no more thinking, just doing everything I wanted to do, and then thought about it later. So because of that, I made a lot of mistakes. Thank God that thing I did landed me in prison or behind bars or 6 feet under or with any crazy lifelong STD or anything like that. Thank God. But I did make a lot of poor choices. I never stopped to think about it beforehand. I always did it and then thought about it later and was like, I shouldn't have did that, So, but also it attested to me not having a lot of, guidance. I was alone. So I had to do everything on my own and think everything on my own, So that's one thing I would tell my younger self. What about you?
I would tell my younger self it'll be okay. You know that when you're young, you constantly, like for myself, I was raised in a 2-parent household with my siblings. But I also left him when I was 16. I've been on my own since I was 16. I'm in an apartment and job and car, you name it. But I didn't make, like you mentioned, mistakes. I made some bad choices. A lot of my bad choices, I would say, might have came from being naive, not being street smart, just pretty much taking people for face value and thinking that, how I am and how I treat people, it was I just assumed everybody treats everybody the same way. So that was a huge, on my part, being naive. So I would say I would forgive myself a lot of bad choices. I made some bad choices in men and bad choices in relationships and self-doubt and bad choices in constantly, forgiving, not allowing myself to allow people to earn the right to be my friend, where I was just free, really giving titles of, oh, that's my friend, that's my good friend, without them even having proven themselves. And I think everyone goes through that when you're younger. What I tell my younger self is hey, sometimes things seem real dark, but don't give up, forgive yourself. You're stronger than you think you are, and you're going to be okay. And I tell my younger self that I'm here to protect you every step of the way, and you are going to be okay. You're going to be awesome, and to embrace every scar you've encountered up until this point, that I embrace it. I'm here to protect you. That's what I tell my younger self. That you'll be okay.
Yeah,
It's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you see, when you're young, nobody thinks about the future. Not really. But I would say, um, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Things don't have to be perfect. Um, when you make good friends or people you trust and they've proven yourself, don't take those friendships for granted. I would say that. Follow your instincts. When your instincts tell you something, don't second guess it, follow it. Follow your instincts. When you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach, listen to it. Don't second guess it. Don't make excuses for it. If you're in relationships and you know that something happens, why there can be an argument, why there can be someone being physical, you know what? Run. Don't make excuses. Don't try to hang in there. Don't try to, give chances. Leave. I would tell my younger self that follow your instincts. We all have a given instinct. We all have that feeling in the pit of our stomach that they're there for a reason. I would tell my younger self that whenever you had those feelings or whenever you felt those feelings, and we've all had it, they're called red flags. They're called something's wrong. Listen to it. Don't doubt it. And don't worry about the next person's feelings. If you know deep down you're a good person and you have a good heart and you love life, don't allow anyone to dim your light. Don't allow anyone to control you. Don't let anyone, try to dumb you down, to try to make you feel like what you bring to the table is not enough. It is enough.
Mm-hmm.
It is most definitely enough. You are enough. They may not see it. They may be threatened by it. They may be intimidated by it. But you know what? Live your truth. Be you. Live your truth. Be amazing. Be awesome. And even if you like the weirdest things, that's okay. You don't have to conform to everyone else. You're supposed to be different. You're supposed to be different. Who wants to be like everybody else? You want to be different. And if that means you have different interests, if you like being athletic or sports or the outdoors or taking risks and jumping off, airplanes or skydiving, whatever it is that you love it and embrace it and do it. And don't let anybody change your mind. Yeah,
amen to that.
Yeah, I would tell my younger self that. Be great, be awesome. You deserve it. We have one life, and in that one life, we worry so much about other people's opinions. Why? Who knows? Everyone's guilty of it. And we worry about people's opinions, and these people who we're worrying about, they don't give a damn about us. So why are we worrying about their opinions? They should have no influence on what we do. No influence at all. So I would tell my younger self, who cares what anybody thinks about you? Who cares about, I don't want to say who cares about anybody else's feelings, but put your feelings first. Because what happens is that when you're younger, you worry about how somebody else is going to feel. It could be relationships, it could be family, it could be siblings, where you waste so much time trying to get validation or someone's approval or to prove to somebody you are not what they think you are. Screw that. Be you. It's the truth. Be you. Because the more the more you waste time on trying to get someone to either like you or to see how amazing you are, or to see how much potential you are, or you're not what they think you are, for what? Their opinion don't matter. And most times that individual is miserable with their own life. So they project their insecurities and their unhappiness on you. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. I don't think, you never get out of that phase though, as a child growing into adult. And that phase basically being that you always have to think about what other people feels or think. It's a subconscious thing in the back of your mind, right? Like you just always, you ain't like me, even if it's in a relationship or friendships or family, you always think about that. And so I think it's one thing you never get over, but how to deal with it is something that I would tell my younger self how to manage that and how to deal with it, right? And also, not everybody's going to be on your side or on your team. And if they're not, that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
And they're not supposed to be. If everyone liked you, if everyone liked you and everyone gave you kudos, what's left for you to push yourself to even be better than what you are?
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to have people that don't like you. You're supposed to have people in your life that don't support you. You're supposed to go through situations, and I feel the older that you get, you realize that, and it's easier for you to say no. When you're younger, my younger me was, I wouldn't say afraid to say no. I just didn't like hurting people's feelings. You know what I'm saying? So even if I didn't want to do something, or I don't want to go to an event, or I don't want to be in a relationship, whatever the case may be, I would be like, you know what? You already got it 6 months in, you already got a year in, hang in there. Even though deep down I was miserable, I should have said no and ran for the hills a while ago. But, we just hang in there. You know what I'm saying? We want to see the good in somebody. I would tell my younger self that it's okay. It's okay to say to someone, I'm sorry, you're not what I'm looking for. It's okay. They know why you're not the person you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? That they know what it is. But I would tell my younger self, date more, experience relationships more. Not to think because someone asks you to be their girlfriend, you have to say yes. You don't have to. You can say no. You can take your time, slow down the process. I would have told my younger self, date whoever you want, when you want, however you want. because that's the only way you would be able to figure out what's for you. See what I'm saying? You don't know what's for you unless you date a variety of men. You may think you know in your teens, and then you realize, I don't like the bad boy approach. Then in your 20s, you're like, you know what? I like the nerdish type. You're supposed to date every variety of men out there to figure out what it is that sticks or what it is that you want to stick to and who fulfills you, who fulfills you. I would tell my younger self, date everybody. Dating is okay. Does not mean you're, back then people would consider if you're dating multiple men that you got to be a slut or a whore or a stinky, this back in the day words. But no, you have to. You have to. And I see nothing wrong with it. I would have told my younger self, don't be in a hurry to be in a relationship. Don't tie yourself down in a relationship. Enjoy life, be happy, go on dates, be spoiled, even when it comes to career. I would have told myself, if you at that time enjoy policing, push yourself to as far as you can go. Living out here now in the States, push yourself and do things in the field that you love. I love servicing people. I love being there for people and helping them and giving them, hope and comfort. I love that. I've come to realize that's what I love. I come to realize that could possibly be my purpose. I gravitate towards that, I would tell my younger self, it's okay. It's okay. And just be more selective with the company you keep around you. If you feel the company you keep around, and I'm guilty of this, my younger self used to associate with a number of female friends or even male friends that depleted me. When you have those friends where they may say something, treat you a certain way, and you identify, you see exactly what's going on, and you don't say nothing to them at that time because you don't want to either hurt their feelings or cause a rift in the friendship. I would tell my younger self, it's okay to let someone know that how they're treating you as a friend is not appropriate. And if they get an attitude and they don't take accountability or understand where you're coming from, it's okay to walk away from their friendship. Friendships, and not all friendships are meant to last the test of time. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with that. And a couple of things that I would even tell my younger self now is one, besides to stop and think about it, but to love yourself more.
Yeah.
Right. As a kid, it's like, or as a younger person, I would, say not only as a kid, but even in my 20s or my earlier adult life, I didn't even feel like I loved myself enough. And because of that, I allowed people to treat me the way they did. Mm-hmm. I allowed those behaviors from people, whether it was friends, whether it was family, mm-hmm. whether it was relationships. I allowed that to happen because I felt like because I didn't love myself enough. I didn't value myself enough. I didn't learn my worth enough. And I feel like now mm-hmm. what I should have done was to give myself daily words of affirmation to build myself mm-hmm. up. Another thing, what I would say is, you're stronger than you think you are. Yeah. Going through everything that I went through, I literally thought I was going to lose it. I thought I was going to break down. I'm surprised I'm not even in a mental institution or something at this point. Because, and I look back now and I'm like, damn, I am stronger than I thought. Because going through that, I didn't think I was going to make it through. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I did. So that's one thing I would just whisper in my ear every step of the way. You're stronger than you think. You can do it. You're going to be better than you think you are. You're going to walk the path that God has set for you, Mm-hmm. And to be myself. A lot of times, you walk into places or you walk into rooms and, you feel intimidated and you want to be able to fit in to that crowd. I learned from an early age too, that's not for me. I don't have to fit in every crowd. I have to be myself and only myself. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, So that's one of the things I would go back and tell my younger self too, to learn at an earlier age, not wait till later on to figure that part out.
But one of the benefits of identifying with it now, what I tell my younger self, especially me having a daughter, is that I have those conversations with Sanaya often. I tell mm-hmm. Sanaya, we have conversations about friends, friendships, past friendships, how people treat her, things she may not see at the time.
Right.
And as a parent, you see it, they don't see it, but you have to let them go through the process for them to come to the realization of their own. But also, it's also good to talk to them, because if not, they can lose who they are, their identity. And, even with Sanaya, I've had conversations with her and have told her, hey, I think certain friendships you have with certain people you're calling your best friend, they haven't been friends with you long enough to earn that title as that's my best friend. See what I'm saying? They haven't proven themselves to you. Or I see you jumping through hoops for, certain friendships, but I don't see it reciprocated on the other end. Mm-hmm. And she would say, oh, mommy, oh my God, there you go again. And when she makes statements like that, I will remember being her age and telling my parents the exact same thing, like, oh God, here she goes again, here he goes again, and then as time went on, what happened? Parents always end up being right.
Because yeah, sometimes, girl, not all the time. Because that's one thing I would tell my younger self too, is that your parents are not always right. You may have been born of that family, they did not define you.
My mother, I had a friend, and my mother from day one, from the first day she met her, could not stand her with a passion. I don't know what it was before she even opened her mouth. My mother used to always say to me, she's not your friend. She's just convenient for you. She's not your friend. She's just around you to be around you, to benefit from you. And I'm like, benefit from me? No, it's just my friend. She's just my friend. Mm-hmm. And as time went on, my mother, every year, and even now, my mother has aggressive dementia. If you were to mention that name, my mom's expression, her face would just change, as if she just remembers that individual. I don't know if it was bad energy, a touch of evilness. My mom just felt it from day one. And that individual allegedly had relations with one of my brothers. My mom found out about it because my sibling had mentioned it to her. My mom went absolutely ballistic and again was saying, that's not your friend. Mm-hmm. And the friend denied it. And then as time went on, we were thicker than thieves. And my mom used to always say, you're going to regret it. I'm like, no, we're not with friends now all this time now, blah, blah, going back and forwards. And lo and behold, the same friend has slept with two of my exes that I know of behind my back. And my exes were the ones that had told me about it, not even her. And my mom, I didn't tell her until maybe about before she got sick, what transpired over the years. And she just went, I could have saved you that aggravation if you would have just listened to me. You know how moms are, but yeah. And it was times that certain situations would occur and I would pretend like I didn't see it, but I saw it, But yeah, I would tell my younger self, follow your instincts, choose friends wisely, choose who you call your best friends or, your ride or dies more carefully. Yeah, I definitely would.
I would not tell my younger self to follow my instincts. I felt like my instincts were complete shit. Because my instincts were always to like fight somebody. If you disrespected me, I'd be like, oh nah, I'm gonna whoop your ass today. Like that was my instincts back then. I did not think before I acted or reacted at all.
But that was a defense mechanism on your part.
Yeah, but still, like, thankfully, I didn't end up in prison because that was my attitude. My attitude was just to fight every time I felt disrespected or to curse somebody out profusely. Like that was my attitude. So, like I did not trust my instincts back then. That's why I said for me, I would have been like to stop and think before you do anything.
No, my instincts were worried about more of what people would think, like worrying about other people's feelings and opinions. That's what kept me in my situations. It was my instincts would tell me, this is not the guy for you, right? Mm-hmm. My instincts would say, yeah, you need to break up. And then I'm thinking, But Dan, you've been in there for, then I'm second guessing myself now, talking myself out of it. You know, Lynn, you've been in there 3 months now, it's 6 months. Just give it another 3 more months. There's something else that happened. My instincts would say, girl, get ready to go, leave. This is not it. This is not it. What are you doing? And the younger me would be like, talk myself out of it again. And I don't know if it, and I believe I could say now it came from it came from insecurity, or maybe not understanding what I had to offer, like not giving myself credit. You know, when you're in a relationship and the person says certain things, especially when you're young, you don't have the mindset to say, are you kidding me? That's not me. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of believe it. And I was one of them. You know, I stuck in a couple of relationships that I should have bailed within like 6 months, bailed within at least 3 months. I should have bailed the first time things got physical. And I would forgive, you know, like, oh, you know what? He's sorry. That was my younger self, dumb and naive, fresh off the boat. I used to say it all the time, dumb and naive. You know, and I used to always say to myself, what the hell are you doing? Like, so it's not as if I wasn't aware. You know, I was not as if I wasn't aware. I would have those conversations with myself and say, what the hell are you doing? Why are you accepting this type of treatment? Why are you in this relationship? Why are you letting this guy do this to you? Why are you letting this girl talk to you like this? Why are you acting like you don't have a voice? Why are you acting like you're afraid? Why are you acting like you're afraid to talk? That was my younger me. And it's not as if I didn't have a voice. Somewhere along the line, I lost my voice. I don't know where I lost it, but at some point, somewhere, I lost it. And I have to say, maybe it came from childhood trauma. Maybe it came from just embarrassment. Maybe it came from, you know, living in Bermuda at the time was so small, the embarrassment of people's opinions and people talking about you, who knows? But at some point along the way, I lost my voice. I just lost my
voice. That's probably to attest to why you are the way you are now.
Like now, I have a voice. Now, that's why I can say to my younger self, now, you are okay. You will be okay. You would never have, you don't ever have to worry about ever putting yourself in a situation of feeling like you don't have a voice, or you just can't say no, or you can't walk away. No, the woman I am today, I would tell my younger self, you're okay. Forgive. Like, I came across a letter last night. I don't know if I told you, but I did tell you I was doing early spring cleaning. So last night I was doing spring cleaning, and I was in my storage room, and I'm just straightening up, cleaning up, getting rid of stuff. And I came across this briefcase I have, that inside the briefcase has my father's death certificate, obituary, stuff like that. And also in there, I had written a letter to myself 12 years ago, forgiving myself. I wrote a letter to myself, and I remember reading it, and I was crying last night. And in the letter, I wrote a letter to myself, forgiving myself for all the bullshit and dumb shit that has ever happened. And I wrote it 12 years ago. And in the letter, I said, it would never happen. It would never happen again. It's a cold day in hell before I ever allow myself to be in that dark place again. And every day I promised to myself I will pull myself through, which I did, and I never look back. And that I prayed in the letter. Yeah, and in the letter I put a little PS, a little side note. I said, and I pray that God gives me the strength to forgive my abusers and everyone that's ever mistreated me. Yeah, that was 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That was very good. You know, I thought about doing that for today's episode, but I you know me, I don't like to be too emotional. So
listen, I've been on.
I don't play those games. Yeah, I don't, girl. I don't like it, because I felt like when I felt like I went through that phase. I don't know if I don't want to call it a phase, but I went through that part of my life, or from the beginning, we're going through so much shit, and then in the middle of dealing with all that emotion and crying every day and going through all that, I went through all that. So now at this age, looking back on it, I don't want to relive that feeling again. You know, I don't want to go through that again.
Well,
It is reliving it because you're talking about it. We're talking about it. We're bringing up those
but do
feelings
you
back
know,
all over again. You know what I mean?
but do you know, for me, talking about it is letting me know I'm healed from it. I have no
Yeah,
problem
that for
stepping on
some
the
people,
platform.
yeah, for some people that's good, but for other people, like for me, it's not good for me. I don't want to. I relived it already. I relived it maybe twice, 3 times over already. So
Mhm.
sometimes you don't want to go back to that again. You want to move forward and with a better mindset and a better process. You know, another thing I would tell myself is to not be stuck in that moment. And a lot of times, I was stuck trying to resolve issues and resolve things from my past with people that didn't want to resolve them or didn't even care to resolve them, didn't even care to apologize or to help, with how their actions made me feel. And I was stuck in that moment. And I went through a lot of emotional, stresses, I would say, because of it. So that's one thing I would say, get up and move on. Get back
See,
up and move on. And I was
I
also
guess that,
bullheaded when I was a kid. So I never took anyone's shit. Never. Like anybody. I never took anyone's shit from a young age to now. I think but what changed how I handled it. So I handled it differently before, but now I handle it with much more grace and class. Back then I
mhm.
was just a savage, with my words or whatever it was. So yeah.
I guess I look at it differently. See, for me,
Mm-hmm.
me writing a letter to myself and me embracing every trauma or mistreatment, I don't look at it whereas it's being stuck. I look at it whereas it's accepting. Like for me, I look at it whereas I'm accepting the wrongdoing. I'm allowing myself to go through every emotion that allows me to be capable to talk about it. And yes, at times I may get emotional, not emotional, whereas I'm still in that trauma or I'm stuck. But for me, I've healed from it and I can stand on any platform and say, look at me, look at my scars. This is where I was. This is where I went through, but this is where I am today. So today I could stand there and be comfortable telling my journey to my daughter, my son, or to whomever that needs to hear it, and to share some degree of life into any individual to say, hey, you're not going to be stuck forever. You're not going to be in pain forever, but you have to go through the emotions. And once you're capable of talking about it and standing there and saying, listen, world, these are my scars. My scars don't define me. This is the bullshit I went through. But you know what? I'm glad I went through it. I've been in a dark place. I've healed from it. I've forgiven my abusers. I've forgiven everyone that's ever mistreated me. I held no ill feelings. I see them today and I was still say, hey, how you doing? And that's what I do. Because you know why? They have no power over me. They have no control over me. I am in control of my life, my destiny, my emotions. I'm in control of me. So I stand there. I
Well,
embrace.
when I say stuck, I don't mean that I you know didn't want to talk about it or live in the moment. Like when I say that, I meant like I was stuck at one point trying to figure out what was the cause of it. Okay.
Yeah, like
What
a self.
happened? Why
Yeah.
did you, and I don't want to air anybody out because, we've all moved on from those situations and from our past lives. But I was stuck in trying to figure out why. And I was stuck in that emotional state where it was that other person did not want to help me figure out why. And they should have. They were supposed to. They were a leading figure in my life, my entire life. And that's one thing, that's one of their responsibilities is to always make sure that I'm okay. Right. And
Mm.
for that was confusing to me. So I was stuck in that moment trying to figure out what the hell happened. And that caused a lot of emotional trauma for me that I still have today. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was stuck in. I wanted to move on. I wanted to handle the situation and discuss it, whether it was emotional or not. I wanted to do that. That's what I was stuck into that globe, but that other
Mhm.
person did not want to do that. Right. So I had to move on without that closure. without that door being closed. I had to, for my own sanity, for my own self. Don't be there. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, like I told my younger self, like for my younger self, I would say, and there was a time where I wouldn't forgive. You know, once you did something, I'm out. I'm not only am I out, I'm out. And as far as I'm concerned, you're dead to me. That's how I used to operate. I used to operate in the sense of, oh, okay, these ain't working out. You did this, you did that. You know what? I'm gonna block you out. You don't exist. You are officially dead to me. And that was what I found at that time, was my younger self's coping mechanism to cope with trauma. Walk away from it, block it out. It doesn't exist. That part of your life is dead to you. Move on, right? And that's how I operated. One minute I could say, hey, how you doing? The next day I could walk across you like you never exist. And if you drop dead, I'm gonna step over your body. That's how my brain used to function. And that was also a coping mechanism that I had in me to cope with things so I wouldn't have to face the realities. And it worked for a while. It did. It worked for a while. But as I got older and as I got more mature and as I had my own family and whatnot, little things would surface where I'm not really over it and my younger self just buried it, which probably would have caused more harm than good. And as time went on, I had to teach my younger self the power of forgiveness. I had to teach my youngest, and I wouldn't even say I had to teach myself. It was my father. My father used to drill in me for years before he passed, and he passed 12 years ago. He used to drill in me for years that you have to find a way to forgive. And it's not a matter of forgiving the person that wronged you. You have to forgive yourself because that's the only way you can free yourself from how you've been treated. And I never understood that. In my mind, I was like, nah, no, Dad. And we'll speak about it before in other episodes. And my younger self was like, nope, screw them, F them. It is what it is. Life goes on. That's how I'm up. That's how I'm moving. That's how I'm moving. And prior to him passing, one of the biggest things he wanted me to do is to forgive. Listen, forgiveness is got to be one of the most difficult things.
I was just going to say, that is easier said than done.
No, listen, it took me, as I'm saying, so the adult me can say to my younger me, no, you are safe, you are protected. Forgiveness does not happen overnight. Forgiveness is something that is layers that you have to kind of break down and chip away to be able to come to the point of forgiving. My older me had to go through that process. My younger me would have never been able to do it. The older me was able to do it. And the older me, it took me having to accept, that's why I said earlier, accept and relive every crap I went through in each of my abusive relationships, only because in order for me to accept what I went through when I was in Bermuda for those like 2.5 years, what I went through in my marriage, I had to actually layer back all the shit. And you'd be surprised how much shit you've actually endured when you start peeling back the layers. And you're like, what the fuck? Did I allow this? I can't believe I allowed that. And you go through an emotion of being angry at yourself. Like, what the hell were you doing? Why did you even allow this? Why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you do this? So you go through all those emotions. But at the end of it all, I remember standing there in a mirror, just looking at myself. And I remember saying, holy shit, like, you're still standing? Like, why are you even still alive? You should be dead by now, right? And I remember saying to my father, I remember saying, "Your dad," he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Do you know I'm standing here looking at myself in the mirror?" He's like, "Yeah, what else is new?" Joking and everything. And I'm like, "You're right. I have to learn how to forgive." And I remember telling him, where I was standing there and I was looking in the mirror, and I remember saying, "I can't believe I allowed so much shit happen to my body." Where I was standing there and I was like, I'm had my hair ripped out, jaw cracked, teeth cracked, black eyes, handprints around my fucking neck, cracked ribs, bruised ribs, footprints, welts, you fucking name it, happened. And it took me close to what, 8 to 10 years to forgive. It took me a long time, Crystal, a long fucking time.
I mean,
but I
rightfully
did.
so.
I did.
Rightfully so.
But I did. But I
Shit you
did.
don't get over. Yeah, but that type of shit you don't get over in 24 hours.
But you know what? When I forgave,
give yourself time to heal and forgive.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I remember standing
there.
Which is
absolutely fair.
Yeah, I remember standing there and I'm like, yo, I'm had chunks of my fucking hair ripped out, chunks of my hair ripped out of my head. Mm-hmm. Black eyes, fucking handprints, jaw cracked teeth. Had to get two molars teeth pulled because they're fucking shattered and shit. Ribs, bite marks, you fucking name it. Yeah. And I remember saying like, yo, I had to forgive myself. Like I had to say it would never, ever happen again a day in my life. It would never happen to my daughter.
When I was in those situations, in domestic abuse relationships, I feel like when they thought they were getting the upper hand over me, they saw how crazy I became. I think that scared them even more. Because when they tried to put their hands on me, they did put their hands on me. How I retaliated was I started throwing shit. Throwing everything. The remote, the TV, shoes, clocks, bottles. Everything's getting thrown at you. What you want to do? You know what I mean? So that I thank God for that mentality I had that at that time too, that situation, to not stop and think before I reacted, because my life was in danger or in jeopardy at that moment. You know what I mean? So looking back, and then you see, yeah. Mm-hmm.
For me, first time I was like, I felt hostage. Like the first time I used to feel hostage, like, you're a police detective. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. So I felt the embarrassment of it.
My job. The embarrassment.
Like, why is it happening to me? Like, why me? Yeah.
And not only that, if it gets out, how are you going to be looked at? So I felt hostage in that relationship, as well as hostage with my career at the time. Then the second time I felt hostage. I'm married. I'm locked in. You know what I'm saying? I felt hostage again. So, but it took me 10 years to forgive. And I have forgiven both people. I have no ill feelings. No ill feelings at all. And as crazy as it is, and I've heard people say, you're crazy. I can never forgive. Let me tell you, if I didn't forgive and be comfortable enough to talk about it and embrace my scars, and I'm still got scars on my body, I'm still got fucking bruises and stuff like that and cut marks and shit on my body. And if I didn't embrace it and forgive, I don't know how my life would have turned out. I have no idea if I could have been the mother I am to my kids. I have no idea if I could still be able to show compassion and empathy and love for people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you definitely wouldn't be able to. Right, you would have still carried around that hurt and that pain for all these years. You wouldn't be able to do anything.
Right.
Effectively.
I didn't, and again, people, and again, you have to forgive your younger self for the decisions you make. You have to. If you don't forgive yourself, your younger self, for some of the fucked up decisions you've made and situations you put yourself in and mistakes you've made, it can hinder and control your adulthood, because you will be stuck. I know of males and females that are stuck on a relationship that was ended over a decade ago for something someone's done. But you know what the problem is, though? And I wouldn't say it's a problem. You're still giving that person control and hold of your emotions. They've moved on with their life. They moved on with their life. They have their families, relationships, whatever the case may be. And I don't want to say dwelling, but you're still holding on to a pain that if you're waiting for that individual to acknowledge and to apologize for how they treated you, it's never going to happen. So forgiveness is not for the individual that caused you pain or treated you like shit. The forgiveness is for you. It's for you to be able to heal successfully, move on with your life, and become the person you're destined to become. I don't hate my abusers at all. It is, and I can say it is what it is. It's not minimizing what I went through. It's an acceptance for me. Every day I take a shower, look at myself. I still have scars that reminds me of the crap I had to endure and having to heal my body. But it doesn't overtake me. Like, it doesn't overpower me, and it has no control over me. It doesn't. So had my father not drilled in me before he passed, you have to forgive. You have to forgive. Right now I can actually say I love life. I love my children. I love my job. I love what I do. I love the small knit of people I have in my life or who have access to me. I love it. I love the path that I'm on. I'm loving what I'm trying to create, not just for myself, but for my legacy and for my children. Like, I love pets again. I love my animals. They get on my nerves, mind you. My cat's trying to kill a bird, but I love all, what I'm saying? Those are my pets. But I wouldn't change my life how it is now. I wouldn't. And yes, I am on a quest to meet someone great, but I'm not willing to settle. I'm not saying my bar's raised high. I just know that my energy needs to be met. I know that what I bring to the table, it's got to be matched, or they're got to exceed what I bring to the table. I know that I don't want a mediocre relationship. I don't want something where, I'm got to continue having to fight for or having to have them understand me. No, I know what it is to feel to be loved. And I know unconditional love exists. And I know there are really great men out there that know how to treat a woman. They are. Not all men are the devil. Not all men are cheaters. They're not. They're not, and I just don't want to settle for anything mediocre or scraps because I'm afraid or of being alone or I'm desperate. No, if I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, I am comfortable with that decision. I'm comfortable with it. And if that means just going out on casual dates here and there, I am comfortable with that decision because you know why? I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy. A man doesn't define me. I want a man to come into my life that enhances my life and brings joy and happiness. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. I don't want a man come in my life and next thing you know, my kids see me stressed and we're arguing and no. And I'm even funny about that. Nobody meets my children. My children are off limits, but I'm sure about you and I'm sure you're going to bring happiness to my life and I'm comfortable and I feel safe around you and there's a security and a protection and a happiness from you that you bring to my life and I bring to yours, then you meet my kids. You didn't meet my kids otherwise than that. It doesn't happen. They're off limits,
Yeah.
I would tell my younger self, don't be so hard on yourself, that mistakes happen, bad decisions happen. We all have to go through that process, but do not remain in that state of mind because there's so much in life that you are missing out on if you allow the behaviors of others to control your mind. You cannot control the behavior of others. You can control your behavior, your mindset. You're in control of the power of yourself. You're in control of you. No one should have power over your emotions. No one has ever ill-treated you, cheated on you, don't cause any trauma, should ever have control over you and your emotions in your life. You're in control of the destiny of your life. Every day you can start day one and be great and be successful and create the life you want. I truly believe that. I've done it. And I'm still going. I still have a long way to go. I can live the next 50 years. So I refuse to allow the next 50 years to be stuck on being miserable and stuck on any regrets of, I wish I did, or why didn't I? Nope, I'm doing it. I don't care if I'm 50, 60, 70, 80. If I want to go skydiving at 70 years old, guess what? You can see me strapped up with a parachute to about woohoo, deuces, and I'm gonna jump off the damn plane at 70. Yeah. And if I break my legs, you know what it is? It's part of it. I'm gonna do it though. That's how I feel. I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I don't care about nobody else's opinion. And that's what I would tell my younger self. Who cares about the next person's opinion? It doesn't matter because it's your life. Be happy. When you hit 30, you have your kids and they're growing, great. When you hit 40, your life's not over. When you hit 50, your second half of life is just beginning. You can live the next 40, 50 years. What are you going to do? Get old and just die? No. Dress up, put some makeup on, put some heels on, go out on a date with yourself, go out on dates, go meet some girlfriends, go for a cocktail, go wine tasting. Who cares? But enjoy life. I enjoy life. Enjoy it to the fullest is what I would tell my younger self. You're okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was an interesting topic. Yeah, forgiveness is key. You got to forgive your younger self in order to become the man and woman you need to be as a woman. You have to forgive yourself. We all make mistakes. We all do. Forgive yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. It's part of life. Don't be hard on yourself.
Amen to that.
Don't forget to check out our other videos on our YouTube page and follow us on our social platforms. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We talk about a lot of stuff on there all the time. So we want to hear from our listeners. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys right here, same time, same place next week.